Hey everybody, I'm Adam Hodge and I'm here with Todd Fisher, the owner of St. James of London, which is a fragrance and shaving company. Todd, tell me a little bit about yourself before we get talking into these awesome watches you have.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for the opportunity. So about 11 years ago, I bought this brand called St. James of London that goes back to 1953. The brand has been dormant for the better part of 55 years. And so I took the original formula from back in the day and resurrected it across a variety of different fragrances that we have now. So the line today extends over 100 SKUs and we sell in over 20 countries. So
incredible. And I test, hey, I'm a user too. This stuff it's baby soft right here, okay? Todd's also into watches as well, which is kind of why we're connecting here. And as you know, I love the story behind a watch. That's the best thing about a piece that's on your wrist, in my opinion. So Todd brought 3 pieces here with him, which each have their kind of own unique story and flavor. And I'll let him kind of dive into each one.
So this first watch that I brought, this is when you're looking at this watch, it looks relatively new, right?
It looks a little small for the wrist, but
small, right? So this is a 1940s pocket watch, which I had converted recently. And this is my grandfather's pocket watch that he was issued when he went off to the war back in 1940. It's been in my dad's jewelry case for the better part of probably like 30 plus years. And I was down there seeing my mom recently, and I pulled it out and I'm like, I wonder if there's anything I can do to put life back into this watch. And so I contacted a guy in Arkansas, Fretton Company is the name of the company, and I sent him pictures and he goes, at first he didn't think he could do it, and then he came back to me and said, you know what? Let me give it a shot. And so he created this case for my watch, and it's a little different in the sense because he said they'd have to rotate it about 15 degrees based on how the watch is made, right?
Yes, it was a pocket watch, yeah.
Correct. So, but normally, so to set the time, you would take the bezel off, and there's a little pin at 1 o'clock that pulls out. So there's this little pin that comes out. But you see that pin right there?
It's not gonna fall off, is it? Yeah, I see it.
No, that's the pin.
Holy moly.
And so that's how you set the time, like this. And so then you put this pin back in.
Ah, so this doesn't necessarily pop out.
No.
You gotta switch the pin.
So it is a bit of a pain in the butt to change time, and I have to wind it every day. But so anyway, that's how they did it back then. 1940, 1945, 50s. That's how the pocket watches, you wound them, and then you take the bezel off to set the time.
And it's such a cool look, such a cool look.
So this is the very first, what I would call cool watch, right? So I was probably like maybe 9 or 10 years old when I got this watch. This is a Jules Jurgensen quartz. From probably around 1977, 1978 time frame. And this was, I mean, these kind of bands were really popular at the time.
Timex like that, they're awesome.
But it's like, for me, I mean, it's lost all of its kind of gold look, but I've kept this watch all this time, and it's special to me because, I mean, I wore this morning, noon, and night. I love this watch. So it was kind of my first foray into the watch world, if you say.
Super, super cool. And then what do we got here?
So the last watch was, I would say, I consider this kind of my first expensive watch, Tag Heuer, and this was going back 1991, 92. This was sort of progressive back in the day in the sense that it was very sporty, had a leather band, didn't have the metal band like most watches did. These were hard to get because they sold out so quickly. But I was able to get one. I look at it today and I go, my gosh, this is so small now, and it weighs next to nothing. But this is, it's a cool watch and something that I have a lot of great memories of.
Yeah, and for me, back in the 90s when I was a kid, I was maybe like 15, right? The progression for watch collecting at that time was start with a Fossil, go to a Seiko, and then you make that jump to a Tag, and then of course then you move to the Rolex. And that was like the tiers of watch owning that we all aspired to. So you get to that one level and you're like, okay, here's what's next. But yeah, you're right. I remember Tags always having a feeling like we look at them now and we're like, this felt like a normal size watch, but yeah, when you get it now against a lot of the more 42 millimeters, Panerais even, it feels a little bit smaller. But the trend with a lot of companies is going from 36 to 38 millimeters or 38 to 36 millimeters and bringing things back kind of to that vintage feel. So that whole size is kind of coming back right now.
So yeah, those are just a few of some of the watches that I have a story. And it's funny, my son today, who's 15, he's getting into watches, and I'm trying to figure out what should be his first watch. Right? What would be really a good watch that will stand the test of time, that he'll like and appreciate? Even, I mean, I'm a little older than you, Adam, but these go back quite a ways, but I still appreciate what these watches offer.
Absolutely. So when I was younger, one of the ones that I had bought was at Service Merchandise. It was a full lume dial Field and Stream brand on like a Velcro strap. I think I spent maybe $40, right? But then my big jump to the real watches, again, a lume dial, because I'm kind of a nut when it comes to lume, was that Citizen Pro Diver. Again, it had instruments that I never used, which would actually rate the depth and show you on a little chart, and it had the little depth reading mechanism in it. Unnecessary, but it looked really cool, and it came in this scuba tank thing. So at 15, I would say Citizen has this, again, that may be a little bit high, it's pushing to the 500, but what's he more like, sporty? If he's a younger guy, he's probably gonna be bouncing around. The Seiko 5, like, that has such a great line that you really cannot go wrong, and you get an automatic, and you get kind of a bulletproof movement, no need for really any service, and they can bang around. They look awesome too.
Well, you know, he wants a Rolex. I mean, looking watch.
Okay.
I mean, and I told him I don't even have a Rolex. I'm like, I mean, I like and appreciate Rolexes, but I also appreciate some other watches.
So he's thinking Submariner look.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so any diver really pulls from that same type of feeling.
Yeah.
Tell him on one of my videos, I do not like the homage watches, which means they're like carbon copy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to see an Invicta Hulk.
Right.
On someone's wrist. It's like, oof, I understand, I get it, but it's, tell them, go with something that's similar to your Rolex, but has its own little flavor, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where the Seikos come in, I think, is that Seiko 5 is a spot on one. If there's something a little more dressy, which I don't think he's at, right? No,
it's got to be sporty.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a typical teenager, right? That, they always aspire for the better brands and, the brands that they see in advertising and all that, but they have to, has to realize too, those come at a severe cost.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They're not.
I mean,
if you got a kid wearing a Rolex in high school, there's kind of probably a problem there.
Right.
Or starting a problem right there.
It's funny because I really have been wearing this watch since I got it back, and I'm like, I really like it. And I think it's because of the history that, I just wonder where this watch has taken my grandfather and what it's seen and experienced. But for me, there's a little bit of specialness to this. So I'm trying to figure out how can I create that for my son, recreate it.
Yeah, and I think, like I always mention, like the making it a memento. If he gets it for something special, keep receiving it and then having it, he can build the rest of the history up just from getting it and be like, hey, my parents got this for me for Christmas 2024.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or I got this when I graduated, or I got this for some other special event or something. So when it's a memento that comes along with something, or even, and this is what my big watch that gave me my memory was, he buys it.
Yeah.
Like, you bring him to the store, he shakes it out. He's the one who brings his cash and drops it on the counter. You know what I mean? From working that job.
Doesn't have any cash though.
I mean, like, honestly, the earning of it. Like, I was a busboy. And I was working basically Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5:30 to 9, sometimes 11, for tips.
Sure.
And I saved up enough money to buy the watch, and then when you do that, it's just like, you earn this, It's just like when you buy your own car. It's like, you got this.
And you appreciate it more, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, because I'm a watch geek, but I'm not fanatical about it. But when my kids were born, I bought a watch to kind of represent
that's awesome.
The birth. And so when I'm long gone, the kids are going to have, and they're nicer watches. So they're each going to have one of those, and then they can fight over whatever else is left, like these guys.
That's pretty cool.
But,
that is very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
But I was like, what can I leave my kids when I'm moving on, and they can look down, they can remember me. So, and that's it.
That's really cool. So I did nothing as great as that, but when I made my initial watches, I serial number them. So they all have serial numbers. So I took my son's birth date, my daughter's birth date, and I basically have told them, like, here's the one that I got for you, this Midnight Landing, right? This is for you. This has got the 16 on it, And then when my daughter Sophie was born, again, I put aside one of the special editions that has her date of birth, or her birthday as well. So
that's cool.
Kind of the idea is to keep it and be like, this is the thing that's special for you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's little things like that they'll appreciate. They won't now, but down the road, they'll love that.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Another thing we have in common is we both like cars, right? And I think cars and watches usually go together. guy actually behind the camera right there, Nathan, I met him at a car show. So they definitely are hand in hand. Not for everybody, but for me, if someone collects cars, they usually collect watches, and if someone likes watches, they usually like cars as well.
Yeah.
So Todd has a very, very awesome vintage 911, and tell me a little bit about it, because it's so super cool, and we'll put a photo up as well and kind of talk about it, because just that car is awesome.
It's funny. I mean, I've had it for probably close to 30 years, but back in the day when I was working and living in Boston, I was on a flight coming back from California, and I happened to be sitting in the same row as my as one of the executives at the company. He was the president of the company at the time and somewhat of my mentor. And I was telling him, because I know he's a car guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at maybe getting a car, and I was probably looking at like British cars, specifically like Austin Healey's, because I love the long front end and the short trunks. I mean, that's just something that's always appealed to me, like the Jags. So anyway, he was like, I need to thin out my cars a little bit, because he's a big Porsche guy. And he goes,
It's a good problem to have.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, he goes, there's one that I might sell. You want to come out and take a look at it? I'm like, yeah, of course. So I drove out there, and I remember the morning, it was a pretty cold winter morning, and went into one of his garages, and he uncovered it, and it was a 67 911 Targa, soft top, which are fairly rare because they're only made in 67 and 68. And so we were talking, and we fired it up, and then we drove it out a little bit, and he said, well, let me know your thoughts. And I'm like, well, okay. Long story short, I ended up buying it, done a little work to it, but for the most part, it's been my baby for almost 3 decades.
That's awesome.
So probably the one, I can't call him a person, but our dog, which is now almost 17 years old, anytime I fire up the Porsche, he is at the back window, at the back door, chomping to get into that car. And so he is like just as jazzed about the 911 as I am. So we go on a lot of rides like every weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I haven't gotten my dog in my car yet. So my 911, I got a little bit more recent, not as cool as yours. It's a 991.1, but I like the idea of naming your cars. So I let my kids, who were at the time 7 and 8, I said, hey, you guys get to make up the name for this car. And the name that came up was Miss O'Leary, right? Because they were going over the Chicago fire in school. So we constantly refer to the 911 as Miss O'Leary, and they always want to take it. And even like my daughter came out to go to soccer practice and was like, Dad, Miss O'Leary today? And I was like, babe, it's like pouring rain, and it's not super fun to drive in the rain. Can we go in the other one?
That's funny.
But I do love it because they love when you hit the gas, that sound, that pull. To have my kids feel that excitement, good or bad, it's just it's the same feeling I get when I see like an exciting watch or hear an exciting watch story. Is the response of like, whoa, your blood just starts pumping, and it's like you're engrossed and you can feel it. And that's why I love both cars and I love watches. Is you get the whole emotional connection that comes along with it. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't like watches. They're just jewelry and they're like showing off your status. And I'm completely against showing off your status. Like, look, buy a watch because you like it, right?
Right, yeah,
and
for sure.
have that feeling and the connection, and that's what they really are.
Well, I think the correlation between cars and watches, and you could even talk about pens or other stuff, it's all about the details, right?
Yes.
It's the small little details. I mean, they mean everything. In both products. And that's what I love about older cars in particular, because they're almost like museum pieces. And especially some of the old American cars with all the chrome. I mean, you've never seen so much chrome on a car. And when you think about, if you had to replicate that or build that car today, it would cost a fortune.
Oh my gosh.
And
you're losing all the gas because of the weight.
Right. And then also when you look at the watches, even old as well as today's watches, they're so intricate, and it's really cool when you flip the back and you see all the movements and everything.
Gosh, yes.
It is like eye candy, right? I'm always looking in the past for ideas to kind of create new stuff in the future as well.
So speaking about shaving, I've actually been doing the safety razor, the double-edged razor shaving for quite some time now. I remember actually seeing the new Bond with Daniel Craig, the Casino Royale, and he had poker in it, which is what I've been like deep into. And then I remember he was like doing the brush with the shaving, and I had already just started that, so it made me feel a lot cooler for that. But it's a whole ritual. I mean, and I think it gets so close to the skin. Like, I love it. I mean, you have to take your time, because granted, if you're in a rush, like you're gonna cut yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
But now if I'm gonna shave, it's every few days.
Yeah.
I don't need it that often. And then when I do, it's get the brush ready, get the pre stuff on, get it all set, Take your time. It's kind of like a little ritual that I have when I do it. And the scents that you have, the fragrances, are awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of people don't. There's a big misconception about safety razors because they look intimidating, right? And there is a learning curve to a safety razor. It takes about probably 10 days to 2 weeks to really kind of get the right angle, get the right pressure, and to do it just right where you're not nicking yourself. But the irony is that that razor is perfect for even the most sensitive skin because unlike multi-blade razors, you have single blade that just comes along and cuts.
Yes.
Versus a multi-blade, which will grab, pull, tug, and then cut. So
and then rub that little lubrication to try and make it cool down a little bit. That little strip there. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yes.
a lot of guys go, oh, this cream or this aftershave makes my face burn. It's actually probably less that. It is probably more the razor. So you kind of have to do a little CSI to figure out, okay, try a different razor, try a different cream, a better, higher grade cream, and even the brush, because the brush will pull your whiskers away from your face for a better shave, closer shave.
And you know what I've done a couple times is the double shave. So I'll get the brush and I'll get it started, do the first one, and I'll just kind of be like, let's just give it a quick, light pass, don't press too hard.
Yeah.
And then I go through one more time, put it back on, and then I can really be more detailed. To get to all the hard to reach places and the areas. I tend to always miss it right here. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, the next time you do that, so do your first pass, right? Mm-hmm. And then go against your grain.
That scares me. Oh my gosh, are you serious? Go again. This is like...
Because if you like the sounds of the 911, you'll love the sound of it going against the grain because it's like a lawnmower going against your face.
Oh my gosh.
It's probably the best part of my shave.
Okay,
none.
I've never done that. I've done it on the neck, and I was like, whoop, getting nervous here.
Yeah. Now do it on your cheeks,
all right.
But it's really, you can just hear it go off even more.
Well, thanks a lot, Todd. I really appreciate you taking the time, talking watches, giving us an overview on your company and shaving, and of course, talking cars is always a good time. Thanks again.
Adam, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Be sure to check out St. James of London. He's got a great line, and we'll see you next time.